So here we are, the final part. Again, we're with Mark Garnett, who's a fellow Trinity Bible College alumni. I was there my freshman year there. He was a senior there. He's currently doing work in his hometown. Talking about a bunch of different things here, but here is the final part, part four of our little Zoom sesh that we had. 40 minutes long, breaking it up for you. You can check out the rest of the parts on the channel there. I have the links down below. Go over to his channel, subscribe. We did another video over there as well that you can check out on a different subject. But if you've enjoyed these parts, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell for notifications every time we put out a video. But here is part four, the final part. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, do you got any other thoughts on this topic? Again, we have gone everywhere with this.
Kind of. My big, and this might, for me, okay.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was like a vibration or something. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably the springs in the microphone doing that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more stuff to edit. Anyways, so going back to war, because that's a big issue, and really we're tackling issues that we could just take one, and Christians can go so in depth in it, and we're just reaching surface level to a large degree. But talking about war, and here's my question for you, and kind of even with Romans 13, but would you ever, or should Christians ever, let's go to you, so you can play dodgeball for once.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Would you ever support a revolution against the government? Or think of like the American Revolutionary War, or is it okay for Christians to overthrow the government? And that takes a lot of, that's a question that as a Christian, maybe you have to consider and put a lot of thought and,
I think you have to take a look at history there. God has used governments that don't serve him. I'm not saying that the United States at this time serves him, the government serves him, but we've seen God use other kingdoms to bring forth his will upon the world. And I know that many of the forefathers, when they were fighting in the Revolutionary War, there were many of them that served the Lord. Man, that's a tough question. I think.
Are you dodging the question? Would you say yes or no? Are you dodging it?
I think it depends on the situation. I think okay, let me bring this up.
Well, let's just go to Romans 13. Some people would say, hey, Romans 13.
Let me. Yeah? Okay, go ahead. Finish. And then
some people would say, hey, Romans 13, and other verses too, a revolution is never okay, never. And other people would say, well, yeah, there's Romans 13, but Romans 13 doesn't mean that. But what would you say? Yeah.
Okay, so World War II, if I were a German living in Nazi Germany, and they talked about stories of how they had those concentration camps not too far from towns and stuff, and you were smelling the ash and stuff, and you found out about that type of stuff. At that point, I would probably say, yeah, I would join a resistance and try to overthrow the government at that point. Right now, the United States, and even back in the Revolutionary War for fighting against Britain, if I were put in that situation, I am not sure I would. And so I guess that's how I'll answer it. I'll give you two situations where one I would and one I'm not sure. I don't know.
So you're just going to dodge it then?
That was two answers for you.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember back when I was in college, taking an ethics class with Professor Thurber, and we had to do a debate and everything. And I drew anti-revolution. And so I had a debate against revolution and everything. And when I first drew, I was like, really? I have to defend this position? It's indefensible. And it means I wouldn't support the American Revolutionary War. Yeah. And yet, over time, by the time I was done doing just the research and looking at scripture and everything, my mind had changed to no, I would never support like overthrowing the
Okay.
government with force and violence and all that. And yet now I hear these other arguments from other believers, and it's tough to wade through and everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it depends on the situation. I like how you didn't answer the question either, though.
Yeah.
Let me put yourself
but
in those two scenarios.
But those who would say yes, unequivocally, I would support the American Revolution, because there's a lot of people out there who would say yes, 1,000,000%, I would support that. My question for those Christians, for those people, would be, well, why? First of all, and historically, I'm not an expert on that. Historically, there were some grievances with King George and with what England was doing and all that, and probably some really bad stuff, I'm sure. And yet America right now, with abortion, with what's going on with this country, if you can support a revolution in 1776, I would suggest that maybe you could support a revolution today.
Okay.
And I would go further than that and say, no, you can't support a revolution here today.
So oh, well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't.
I would say that, as Christians, like we don't move through revolution. We move through like reformation. We want heart changes and not overthrows and everything.
So then, tossing the question back to you, what would be the circumstance in that a revolution to you would be justified? Like, what would the government have to do?
I'm not there though. I'm the cop-out guy. But I started reading when the masks hit, when COVID-19 hit, I started looking into Romans 13, which is, the chapter that every Christian goes to when we talk about the government and authority and all that.
Yeah.
And my stance before was revolution's never okay. We don't violently or overthrow governments and everything. And then I started reading David Martin Lloyd-Jones. He's kind of the John MacArthur of England from 100 years ago. And he says, no, there's times where revolutions and everything is justified. And so I haven't really read all the way through that, but I want to hear the arguments for it before I kind of reach my final conclusion on it. But, as Christians, I wouldn't say just, we shouldn't be trigger happy on that for sure.
Yeah.
And,
okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, because it's already a pretty long one. And so if you've made it this far, congrats. You probably made it this far because you know us personally. And so we appreciate you, whatever our relationships are with you. But that all said, we're going to end this one because we're going to go and make another video on Mark's channel. Mark, what's your channel name?
My channel's
Canadian bearded person or something like that.
Yeah, Montana Viking.
Montana Viking.
Yeah, and I've got a beard, so that's.
And so that will pop up here somewhere at the top for the screen, and then it'll be down in the description as well, so you can check out his channel and check out that video as well. But with all that said, Mark, thanks for joining us. I'm hoping, I think if we try to do more of these, I think we will get better at staying on track, because we just shotgunned kind of everything and then didn't get too deep into
I dodged all your questions and you dodged all mine. And
so I'll do the same on your video. No, I'm joking. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time. Yeah, have a blessed day. Thank you.